Hey guys, let's just see, where's my boy? Syngodontist. Hope you're all doing well, guys. Been a long while since the case presentation. Back at it today. Not done this since first lockdown. Hey bro, how's it going?
Good morning or good evening, actually, there, right?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Oh
So
man.
let me just check and make sure we've got everything we needed. How are you?
Good, good. How are you, man?
Yeah, not bad. I've just been editing the photos so they'll fit on screen nicely. So hopefully
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
working.
I hear you.
Um, Yeah, okay, everything looks pretty good to go. So, this case, should we just dive straight in? Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, yeah. Just before we start, I would say the most important thing to realize about veneers is the one piece that a lot of people actually miss is that when it comes to veneers and cosmetic cases, you have to always stick out even numbers. Don't try to do one veneer or three veneers or five veneers. It's going to throw off the mouth. The mouth is a piece of a symmetry. We have to make sure that the right looks better, looks the same as the left, you know? We don't want one to look better than the other. Sometimes we have a lot of patients that come in and be like, this tooth is not looking good for me. It's discolored. Can we do one veneer on this? You have to discuss with them and explain to them the understanding of if you do one veneer, that tooth gonna look the same for a long time. Gonna start to get discolored, you know? Um, the other piece of information
Yeah.
is that I learned through a mistake is to not do six veneers. And a lot of people ask me why not six veneers. And it's very simple. It's because six veneers, the canine is so prominent. What happens is that if you do six veneers, the premolar is going to get thrown out in the
Yeah.
colors, in the pictures, and everything like that. And it's going to make it look like a square smile, you know. But with this case, what happened is that the patient came in and she basically had 12 veneers, six uppers, six lower interiors, and she was like, they did it long time ago, uh, um, like even the time that they did it, I just felt like it wasn't done perfectly. I just feel like there's just one color, one blob of color on every single tooth, and if I can help her with that. And I definitely told her, I'm like, look, I work with this lab and I love their work, and we don't do one shade, we do multiple shades. In
Yeah.
fact, 8 and 9 looks a little bit different than 7 and 10. 7 and 10 looks a little bit different than 6 and 11. And she was like, so wait a second, does that mean that they're gonna look different? I'm like, no, they're not gonna look different. They're gonna look natural. That's what we want to have. We want to have a natural smile. And it's funny because some dentists might not agree with this, but I usually talk with my patients and I steer them away from the Hollywood smile
Too
because I'm like,
wise.
yeah, because what I like to tell my patients, I'm like, here's the questions that I'm gonna ask you. Do you want people to come to you and tell you, you have a beautiful smile, where did you get it done? Or do you want people to come to you and tell you, you have a beautiful smile, what do you do to keep it like that or maintaining it like that? And that's what a lot of my patients, I have never heard one person telling me that, oh, I like them to tell me where did I have it done, you know? So that's why I tell them, I'm like, I steer away from the very like bleached one or bleached two, you know? I go up to bleach four, which is basically one shade lighter than the B1 when we
Yeah.
look at the shade system. But that's basically it. So before I start on this case exactly, um, what I do with my patients when it comes to veneers, if it's two veneers and less, my appointment is going to be basically two. One of them is going to be the preparation appointment, and one of them going to be the delivery appointment. If my veneers are four and above, now it's going to be four appointments. And let me explain to you why the four appointments. The first appointment is going to be the diagnostic wax up. The diagnostic wax up is extremely important for a lot of patients going to the route of veneers. Why? Because they want to know how their teeth gonna look like, at least just the shape of it, you know. And it also helps me as a dentist, as a clinician, to have reduction guides, to have the impression, to use it in my second appointment in my preparation to create that temporary veneers for them when they're done with their appointment. And the third appointment is obviously the delivery. And the fourth appointment, which is very important, is called the night guard appointment. I bring them that appointment to deliver the night guard, but also very important for people who do cosmetic cases is to take the final pictures then. Not on the delivery appointment, it's on the night guard appointment. You want the gums to heal when you're cementing and you're playing with those gums at that third appointment. So first appointment is diagnostic wax up. Second appointment is the preparation. Third appointment is the delivery. And then the fourth appointment is the night guard and the post-op pictures. And if you're wondering when I take my pre-op pictures, it's going to be in the first appointment, obviously, or even when they're in their chair when I meet them for the first time.
Yeah, first planning appointment sort of thing. So yeah, we've got this case. So this lady, let me just get the first photograph of her back. There we go. So what did you see first? You know, come in the door and what was her complaint?
The best part about this is that the patient, when she scheduled appointments, saying her chief concern said basically that she would like to see a solution for her veneers. So I sat down with her and I talked to her and I'm like, what are you looking when you see in the picture carefully? And she's like, I just feel like I'm only seeing six teeth. I'm like, exactly. Which is why we steer away from the six veneers. And if you go back to that picture first, you're gonna notice that those premolars, especially on the right side, are actually hidden. You can barely see them. You know what I mean? You're only seeing those 6 veneers. The left side is a little bit better than the right side, but it's definitely kind of blacked out. So I sat down with her, I talked to her, I'm like, so tell me your history. She's like, well, my teeth, I have a tetracycline staining. She was like, you have no idea what's under those veneers. And I'm like, I
will show you that in a minute, guys.
Yeah. It's
and you get your questions in if you're in the comments or watching. Share it to your friends as well, so everyone can benefit. The replay is going to be on YouTube afterwards if anyone misses it or wants to watch it back again. So yeah, so you've looked at those particular things. Let's show the guys a bit closer shot there.
And there is, I believe, one closer to that with the gums. I'm not sure if I shared that with you.
Yeah, retracted.
So with this one, you can see that. I mean, obviously, there's something's off. You can definitely tell 7. Like any person probably can tell that 7 is definitely not the natural tooth. I mean, you can see that there's a corner of veneer there, right? And so when I sat down with her, I was like, look, obviously the staining is everywhere. What I want to do is I want to make sure that you smile first. Let's look at your smile and let's make sure to see the teeth that we're going to be taking care of, because it's not going to be something that's going to be like an easy thing. It's going to be a complex case, but I'm here for you and I'll make sure that you're going to leave happy. If not, I will change any veneers that you want. And that's the kind of rapport you want to build with your patients. Your patients are your family. That's what I tell them from day 1 or day 2. You know what I mean? I'm like, I want the best for you. I sit in the chair thinking of what I'm going to do for myself, you know? And especially with cosmetic cases, that trust is extremely important, you know? So yeah, I sat down with her and I told her, I'm like, the 6 on top and 6 on bottom, I am not particularly agreeing with because it's hiding the back teeth. Now her number 3 had a cavity too, kind of a gross decay, so we had to crown that tooth. And I was like, look, the most ideal thing I can think for you is going to be 10 veneers on top and 8 veneers on the bottom. I mean, if you look at the bottom, you can see that the first premolars are pretty worn down. I mean, like, look at number 28. 28 looks like a very, very bad attrition going on there, very bad staining on a natural tooth. It's not even touched. And she was like, I agree. I think that's a good plan. So then and there, we decided that we are going to do 18 veneers, 10 on top, 8 on bottom, and 1 crown on number 3. And at that point, some of my friends asked me, you didn't do anything about number 19? I'm like, yes, number 19 does not look good. I'm like, but it has no problem. It just has staining. There's no issues with it. If I wanted to include 19, I would have had to include 20. And at that point, her smile did not really reflect any issues to have 19 and 20 to be involved. I was like, if we needed to do something in the future, I will tell her that we can definitely do it. At this point, there is no really point with that.
Yeah, and you didn't think you needed to move anything in terms of occlusion? We're all good?
No, it was all good. I believe she had done braces before, so everything was good. And this was just I was trying to testing right and left kind of images to see with the black house how it's gonna look like. But this is just the different size images. And then if you can go to the next one.
We had that one as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So hopefully you guys are happy with what things look like. So should we look at the preps next?
Yeah.
There we are.
Okay. So when I took the veneers out, some of them were a bit challenging, but they were out, and you can see the gums are a little inflamed. I did not need to do anything with the gums, to be honest with you. I thought it was pretty lined up for me to deal with any lasers or any gingivectomy to be done. So I kept it the way it is. I showed her teeth. When I prepped it, I showed her how her teeth look like. She was like, I know how they look like. I'm like, let me just make sure that you understand that masking those are very difficult. I had to discuss with the lab that what are you gonna do to make? And he was like, we are gonna add shit ton of opaques on those veneers, because we want to make sure that they're gonna be blacked out. I mean, especially the problem with the tetracycline staining you can see on this patient is the incisals. The incisals are darker than the gingival size or gingival thirds, and that is literally the inverse of what we want. You know what I mean? And yeah, you can see that the lowers are really bad. I'm like, so because when I do my shadings, and I'm gonna explain to you exactly how I do it, and you guys can apply it, and you will absolutely love it. I just love this technique, and it works like charm, you know. But when you see stain that is darker on the incisal third and lighter on the gingival third, it is very challenging. Not for you, for the lab. So what they usually tell us, and that makes total sense. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ghazi, you're gonna agree with this too, is you have to reduce a little more. Why you have to reduce a little bit more? Because they're gonna have to add layers. They're gonna have to add layers. Exactly. So after we prepped the teeth, I'm trying to think. The preparation was, my preparation was basically, if I want to show you guys, it's basically like this. If you look at the mesial distal kind of angle, it's around 1 millimeter facial, and then lingual is another 1.5 millimeter, if not 2. Just depends on the situation. But it's more like an reverse L shaped, basically. If you look at it from the right side, you know, like this side, it's kind of like an L shape. Preps. So we prepped it, and then basically, I don't know. Do you have any questions about the prepping part?
Have you got tips for the guys who are doing this? Because I think some of the younger guys, you know, doing a big case like this is maybe a bit daunting, because that's a lot of prepping. Obviously, you know, you're doing 10 on top, 8 on bottom. How long does something like that take you? How are you going to temporize? Is there any things that you need to warn the patient of? Obviously, we're going to think about, is anything devitalized? Have you done that at some point as well?
So what was the last part?
Devitalization. Obviously, we're on a re-prep now. So, you know, you get the 1 in 5 teeth that you prepped eventually will have some endo complication, potentially.
Yeah, so with the endo, obviously you gotta take care of those as you go, you know. If you knew that some teeth might be involving endo, I would say do not start the veneer case yet until you take care of those teeth first, because you're accepting them from the lingual. That's just a given, you know what I mean? I would definitely go that route. But
we're all good there though. The X-ray showed nothing, didn't it? We've had a look at it.
Yeah, it was all fine. It was mainly staining, to be honest, so it's kind of like a slam dunk case. But I will tell you this. So remember, with this case, because it was for veneers and above, I had to, obviously, I did the diagnostic wax up case. It's very important for this one. I mean, like, it's not given, right? My lab, I communicate with them, and this is something you might want to write down. You want to tell your lab that send me that diagnostic wax up on the teeth that you're veneering. Send me reduction guides. Send me reduction guide that's going to involve the gingival third, the incisal third, the incisals in general. Because what you want to do, when you're prepping, you want to make sure that your wax up gonna match up to how much enough reduction you have on all those surfaces. With veneers and with crowns, with any preps that I would think about when it comes to crowns and veneers, the less you prep, the better it is. You are going to avoid creating J margin problems and all those issues. You know what I mean? So the less you prep, the better your burrs are, the better it will be. Always remember your gingival preparations when it comes close to the gums. You want to be as smooth as possible. That burr, you want to go like one time if possible, just one time going under the gum just a little bit. You don't want to irritate that gum because that gum is your friend or your enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's your friend, it's going to help you a lot with having good scan or good impression. Believe it or not, I scanned these teeth. I did not take an impression on these. I scanned them. That means my preps were like, I mean, you can see it right now. This is immediately after the prep. The gums were completely fine. No heme, barely anything, just a little irritation, which is totally normal, you know?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing you're going to ask your lab to give you is not only the reduction guide, but also an impression of those wax ups. Typically, my lab does not charge me for the impression for those wax ups. If they charge you, don't do it. Do it yourself. Because it's as simple as when you have your wax up back, just basically take an impression of the top, take an impression of the bottom, you know, and use that to create your new temporary. Because after this patient done with the prep, with their prep, and usually they ask you, they're like, wait, if it's 2 appointments, you're prepping my teeth, are you gonna let me go like this? I'm like, no, you're not gonna go like this. But a lot of patients ask that question, if not like 90% of the people, you know. So it's very important that you have a good impression to use to create those veneers. And here's the best part. When you do the veneer, the temporary veneer delivery, the preps, the temporary temporaries on the veneers,
Yeah.
you don't need to separate them. You take them. Yeah, you just like take the impression, you put the integrity or whatever material you're using, you let it sit for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you take it out, you just clean. They're all connected together. It's going to be hard for them to break. It's very important to give your patient a post-op instruction for the next 2 to 3 weeks, depends on when your case is going to come back. Very important, because sometimes patients are going to come back, they're like, I chipped my tooth. I'm like, great. Now I have to add flowable because that's not going to stick on it, you know? So, or if they have more breakage going on, you're going to have to do a new one, which is really not fun, you know? I've never tried, now that I think about it, I've never tried to use integrity actually on the impression and let it go back again on top of those integrities that are there. But it's something that you can try, maybe etching certain areas that are broke, and you can do it that way. It's possible, you know. But yeah, after that appointment, the patient goes home.
How long was this appointment?
How long was this appointment?
Yeah.
I put this appointment for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I have done quite a few, but not a lot. I'm pretty sure like if you get to master preps and everything like that, because I'm also OCD a little bit, you're probably gonna be able to finish it in 2.5. You know.
Yeah, yeah. But you need a little bit of leeway. You don't want to rush it, and you know it's a big case, so take your time.
Yeah.
So to recap for the people who just joined us, patient came in, got some tetracycline, some old veneers. So I'll show you that there. Some old veneers. Hold on. Let's see. This is the picture. Here we go. Old veneers, and wanted to replace them. They weren't looking the best. Decided to do 10 on top, 8 on bottom to replace. And we just had a little look at the preps. Then you can see the tetracycline staining there. The next step. Let's have a look. Should we look at the final delivery?
Just 1 second. So when we are done prepping, before we take the impression for not take the impression, use the impression to deliver the temporaries, we are going to take the impression of the preps by either taking with what is it called, the PVS material, or you're gonna take it with a scan. I use my iTero. I love my iTero. It's like my baby, you know. It's a fantastic tool. And this is the really, really important tool. And this is something that you have to really focus on. When you are scanning all these teeth and sending it to the lab, you have to have the lab communication on point. I mean, on point. Now it's your goal of, okay, what is the color we're going with, you know? I personally, this is what I usually by default do for most of my patients. And if you want to write this down, go for it. And this is actually a good picture to discuss. 8 and 9 is divided into basically 2 layers. It's going to be bleach 4 on the incisal third and the part of the body third. And it's B1 on the gingival third and half of the body. What that creates that kind of a transition from our natural teeth, where it's basically the incisals are translucent bright, to go a little bit darker, because we wanted to have a little darkness when it comes close to the gums. That's just the reality of how our teeth looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we go to 7 and 10, I am doing the bleach 4 is done. I'm not using that again, right? 7 and 10 is going to be B1 and A1, okay? And then 6 and 11, which is a long tooth, is going to be B1, A1, and A2. But the rest of the teeth are going to be B1 and A1. And what that creates, it just creates that transition that just looks so good, so nice, so real, so natural. So, and the reason why I say this is because when I show my patients the end results, sometimes they are shocked in both ways. In the beginning, they are shocked of like, wow, I was not expecting them to be like this little dark. I thought it's going to be way too bright.
Yeah.
But then they continue by saying, after like a minute of like analyzing things, they're like, but I love how they look real. I'm like, I know, because all we see on TV, all we see with those news anchors, I'm like, once they smile, it's Ross from Friends. It's basically that just bright white everywhere. I'm like,
Really
you don't want it to be like that. You know what I mean? So they analyze it and they're like, I love it. And when I see them in that 4th appointment to take pictures, they're like, I just love my smile. Everyone is asking you that, like, wow, you have such a beautiful teeth. And I'm like, that's exactly what's my goal. So you can go to the next picture and we can see the end results.
We had the other in-between pictures as well, showing the
preps.
Not the preps, your equipment as well. Should we look at that first?
Yeah.
Get a bit of a drum roll going so the guys can.
Sure.
So this was your veneer cement that you're using. Sorry, I didn't turn it around. I should have done that, shouldn't I?
It's so good. So I use the Calibra cement, and one of the reasons why I love this Calibra cement is because it has a try and paste, and it has the color of the cement that I'm using. The try and paste has 4 different colors. It has the opaque, it has a translucent, it has a bleach, and I believe the other one is normal, if I'm not mistaken. Those 4 has a try and paste, and they have the cement. And the reason why that is important is that on the delivery appointment, before I cement my veneers, there is that extra layer that is going to be important. In this case, it's not as important because my lab added a heck of a lot of layers that cement color is really not going to make a difference. And I can guarantee you that because I tried it. But typically the way I go with is translucent, because that's the most real again. And this is a video showing her teeth, how they look like. And it looks even worse than the pictures, honestly. It was scaring me for a little bit. I'll be honest with you guys. It was scaring me a little bit because it's just that the colors looks like, I don't know, looks like a toffee milk. I don't know what it is. It's just like, the colors are ridiculous. The tetracycline staining is a nightmare, you know.
Yeah, pretty severe on that one.
Yes. So that's what you're seeing. The blue is basically I believe, I'm trying to like switch my head, but tilt my head. But the blue is the trying paste. What is it?
Yeah. It's the kit, isn't it? So I've opened the kit now.
It's basically the kit, yeah. And so you see that the red, the orange with the red rectangle on there is basically where you put your bond, because you're bonding and adding a lot of material. You don't want it to set, obviously. But yeah, the blue is basically, and you can keep it at this picture because this is an important point too. The blue is basically the try and paste, and then the yellow is the cement. So once I decide that the bleach, for example, looks better in the mouth than the opaque, then I will decide to go with the bleach. And that's a decision you make with your patients, obviously, too, to just make them decide on that. So one of the things that I learned from one of my mentor doctors, Dr. Phil Shin, he talked to me a little bit about glycerin. Glycerin is basically an oxidizing inhibiting layer. What happens is that it doesn't let, in a short terms, it doesn't let stain heme go under the veneers once it's cementing.
Yeah.
The reason why this layer is very important is because once you cement over 18 veneers and you haven't even cemented them all together, because you're waiting, right? You're adding them all together, and then you're going to start to tack cure them. When you tack cure them, and I don't know if a lot of people understand what a tack cure means. Tack cure is a normal cure, but for 5 or 3 seconds. What you're doing with a tack cure is that when you're adding the veneer, you're basically just letting them get stabilized in that area. So after you do that, this Beauty 360 Pure Glycerin, I bought it from CVS, literally, okay? Any pharmacy. You add that layer immediately on top, so you basically letting the heme stop penetrating that layer to not enter under the veneers. Because that is a nightmare that I have encountered. I have delivered 10 veneers on top. One of them, I didn't add this material. One of them had heme penetrate, and I had to redo that veneer. And redoing a veneer is another 2 appointments, which is a lot of chair side too, if you think about it in a business aspect too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after the cementing, you add this layer, and then after this layer, you cure all of them. You basically need, you can leave the room because your assistant going to be there for probably 10 minutes just curing.
Right, should we have a look then?
Sure. So this is the final delivery, and very, very proud dentist to deliver this case. I have called my lab, I have celebrated with them, and I have told them they did a phenomenal job. I mean, if you tell me day and night for 10 days that this patient has tetracycline teeth under those veneers, I will not believe you. I'll just not believe you. But every time I see it, I just get goosebumps of how beautiful the final results were. And the patient was just extremely, extremely happy. One of the things I will tell you, that the things that I have learned with this case is delivering lower veneers is the most ridiculous thing I can think of. I mean, those are tiny little things that you're adding. It is so hard to stick in there. They want to come out with your hands. So you just have to really be careful when you're adding them to make sure that they're stabilized. The patient is fully flat, so the gravity can help you a little bit too. But again, it's a beautiful transformation. And my favorite thing, the reason why I love cosmetic dentistry is because of that interaction you do in the end, and their beautiful smile that they do afterwards, and it's just very rewarding. You know, it's a very celebratory final result.
Are you someone who works the patient up before you're doing a mirror reveal? Oh my god, they look so good.
You know what's the problem? The problem is that I feel like I should lower my game with my temporaries, because honestly, I've been realizing my temporaries are actually the point where the patient was like crying, and I'm like, I don't want you to cry right now. I want you to wait, bro. I'm like, I don't have my camera ready. What the hell?
Yeah.
But no, I let them sign consents and everything like that, because these are things that you can hang on your walls in your office, can show patients, because one of the biggest confidence that you build in your life is your smile. You know what I mean? It's funny because I was just doing a fact recently, and like there's 48% of people who untag themselves on Facebook were due to their smile. I mean, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So it's a very important that you celebrate that with them. And this is also a tool to have on your phone. So when a patient is kind of hesitant about what to do, you can show them and you can like, look at the before and after. This is what I did and this is what will happen. And again, like you see in this picture, 19, yes, it looks pretty not good. 30, it looks not good, but it's not a big deal. It's not
So
good just
far off in
because,
the distance, yeah.
yeah, and it's just a stain. It's not like something that you have to do it, but her smile is perfect.
Yeah, guys, any questions, drop them in right now. Doc will answer them if we can. Let's see if we had any already which were related to the case.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if you're Iranian. That's not the case.
Iraqi. Close. Just one letter.
The occlusion has to be just so they don't pop off. Yeah, for sure.
Very important. When I deliver my veneers, I make sure that either all of them are biting on the veneers or none of them are biting on veneers. I mean, if only one of them gonna bite on one veneer, say goodbye to that veneer. It's just automatically. And that's actually a good question, because that is why it's very important at that appointment when you deliver it, you scan the new teeth, or you take an impression and send it to the lab. Do a night guard for me, because that night guard is a small investment compared to this investment that they added on their teeth to save all their teeth. And almost all my patients, if they agree with the veneers, they are getting the night guard by default. Sometimes you don't even need to charge them for the night guard if you do like a deal for them, you know?
Yeah, and it's going to be cheaper than redos.
Yeah, absolutely. I like your thinking.
Can you review the shades? We'll do that first. So thank you, Diana, I guess. Can you please review the shades? I put the pic back up. So you were talking about A1, B1, A1, B1, B2, right?
So yes, so 8 and 9, if you look at the incisals, they are bleach 4 shade, and they are the only bleach 4 in the incisal third, and then the gingival third is going to be basically B1. And then what happens is that the lab basically transitions between the bleach 4 and the B1. And I'm talking about Vita shade, by the way. And then when we go to 7 and 10, we got rid of the bleach 4. Now it's 7 and 10 becoming B1 and then A1.
Yeah.
And then 6 and 11 is going to become B1, A1, A2. Like I said, because it's a longer teeth, okay? And then going back is just B1 and A1. And you might be wondering why the canines look, there is an A2 in the end. I mean, you tell me by looking at the picture. 6 and 11 to me, even in this picture, barely looks like it's a veneer. It looks like a natural tooth, just because of that extra darkness around the gums. That's why it's very important that you tell them. And honestly, if your patient wants to do it wider than this, which I really don't recommend, but if they want to, you can do the same thing, just one step ahead. So let me tell you, for example, just as an example, it's going to be bleach 3, bleach 4, bleach 4, B1, okay? Bleach 4, B1, A1, and then bleach 4, and then B1 continuing. So you can always do this. I love that my lab actually taught me this technique. It wasn't even a doctor. It was a lab who told me, if you do this, and he's been practicing, he's been doing this veneers for 30 years. So he's like, I recommend you this kind of technique. And it just works like a charm.
Yeah, perfect. Kristen, thank you for your question. Re-explain the purpose of the glycerin. She's just follow-up question about the glycerin. What order are you applying it when placing? So the final restoration. So maybe a good add-on question to that is, what order are you cementing your veneers? Is there a certain procedure you do there? When do you add the glycerin?
So glycerin is an oxidizing inhibiting layer, okay? So it's basically in a short term, what it does is to create a barrier for any heme that is trying to penetrate your cement while it's curing, to not allow that to happen. I cannot explain it easier than that. It's pretty much your best friend, literally. In this whole process of delivery, it's your best friend. And you can use a brush, like a denture brush, and you can add a little bit to it and just go around all teeth, you know? The order that I place them is always 8, 9, 7, 10, 6, 11, 5, 12, and then 4, 13. And the same thing on the bottom. You order them like that. You tack cure them all at once they are all in there. And then you do the glycerin and then you cure them. Now, here's the thing that I have learned from my mistake. I used to do the whole process 2 by 2. What I mean by that, I put 8 and 9, I do the tack cure, I put the glycerin, I cure, and then I go 7 and 10. I do the same thing, and it takes me forever. Not only that, biggest problem, if you know what it is, you will understand why you shouldn't do that.
Excess and you can't see.
Oh yeah. Sometimes that little excess cement will not allow that veneer to sit. And let me tell you about Calibra cement. If you thought it was easy to remove a crown, which is really not, right? Good luck removing a veneer with a Calibra cement. That cement is ridiculously strong. I had my one of my patients, I literally took me 40 minutes. I am not kidding. 40 minutes to take an interproximal of 14 to remove that cement. I was like, how can I remove it without me damaging the crown I just cemented? I had to use that sandpaper for 40 minutes. it was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, let's not do that. That's not what we need. I hope that answers the question, Kristen. Let me know if that made sense. Nursing her teeth before the veneers, thank you for the question. Were they damaged from smoking or just natural teeth? So it's tetracycline staining, wasn't it? So let's show you guys where we came from for anyone who's just joined in.
And Noonan saying, just to let you know, tetracycline staining, if you are not familiar what it is, it's basically an antibiotic. And then what happens is that typically it's not the person's fault, it's technically the mom's fault, because what happens is that if the mom's during pregnancy takes the tetracycline staining and while the teeth are developing, that staining can affect the development of those teeth. That's just one of the unfortunate things that some people can be born with this problem, and the only solution is basically this. Sometimes certain tetracycline staining can be resolved with whitening. Definitely not this case.
No, yeah, and there's Icon DMG, which maybe in some cases you can do stuff, but it's not. I think it's hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah.
So thank you for the question. Nuneson.
Calibra cement was the cement material I use.
Yeah. So in terms of the tooth underneath, what kind of preparation on cementing day are we doing? Is there multiple steps, or is it, one step, two step? How does the cement work?
Oh, for the delivery?
Yeah.
So for the delivery, remember how I told you, if you're gonna connect them all at the temporaries, you're gonna connect them all without any temporary cement and stuff like that. That's gonna be saving you so much time on the delivery. Because I don't know by now if you know or not, prepping veneers is 10 times easier than cementing veneers. Like I've known that for a long time now. Yeah. Because of how delicate the procedure of cementing is. But when you're putting those temporaries in there, what you're gonna do is to remove them, you can just use a hemostat, and you can just start wiggling them a little bit, and then they start breaking. If not, you can use an explorer under the gum and just flake them out. If not, you can use a fine burr, to just create some wedges, and you can break them. I typically go interproximal between the teeth if I feel like they're not moving, but usually they move out pretty easily, and they break out pretty easily. Yeah.
Then on the day of cementation of the final delivery, is your cement something which you've got to use a primer, bond, and then the actual cement?
Yeah, I believe I sent you a picture of the steps.
Let me see.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think it was too small for me to actually put on the screen.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yes. So what I would recommend you, if you're going to use a specific type of cement, let's say Calibra in this example, they should pay me, by the way, since I'm promoting them there. Just
I've
kidding.
got it actually here.
No, but what I'm saying is that with the Calibra cement, usually a lot of them send you like the steps of what to do and what to not do. But typically, any crown is usually cleaned up, because you're in the beginning. Remember how I told you we're trying to see which cement color is gonna fit better. Yeah. After that point, you're cleaning the crown, and then to be honest, for the teeth, you're gonna do the etch and bond, the same thing. Don't etch all teeth at once. Don't do that because the teeth will be extremely sensitive. Do them in twos always. It's going to be easier. And then you can bond them, and then again, depending on your cement material, and then just you're gonna put the cement on the veneers, two by twos. And you're gonna put them on twos, but you're not gonna cure them yet. You're gonna tattoo them when they're all in there. Obviously, I do one arch first and then the second arch.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
So quickly, I'll just read out for the guys who wanted to know.
Yeah.
You've got trying. So if you're doing veneers, it's trying. You're going to clean, rinse, and then dry the veneer. Then you're going to etch with HF. Clean, rinse, dry. Salinate and air dry. Clean and dry. Don't desiccate the tooth. Total etch, rinse and dry. Prime, bond, and then the cement. So it's all on the flow chart. So when you get your cements, guys, make sure to read the manufacturer's instructions, because they're all slightly different, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all different, you know. Everyone has a typically if it's a resin based, I mean, resin based is different than other kinds, but because resin based acts like a fillings, you know, but it just depends on what the company's wanting you to do, because you know, all those little details here and there. I see a question from Abir about dental veneers treated or just for beauty. Don't start me on insurance right now. Yeah, insurance doesn't like the idea of veneers being for really like what they wanted, because every time insurance sees veneers, they think it's cosmetic. I 100% disagree with that, because sometimes we see a lot of people who grind their teeth and clench their teeth. You see beautiful, oh, I don't know about beautiful, but like beautiful fracture lines vertically on each teeth. Sometimes you don't need to do a crown to take care of those. You just need a veneer. But good luck with the insurance dictating what they want and what they don't want. I typically don't let insurance personally affect my job, but unfortunately, patients are dictated, most of them, with what insurance pays and what they don't pay. And the unpleasant smell in the mouth, I'm not sure what are you talking about, but I will tell you about bleeding gums. If veneers are cemented right, and if they are cleaned up right, there shouldn't be bleeding gums.
Yeah, I think it's unpleasant smells are usually down to poor maintenance as opposed to something that caused by a veneer. Diana, is that how I say it? Diana? I think it is. I'm terrible reading this. There's a great presentation. Appreciate it. Thank you for the comment. Nusin, thank you for your comment as well. Dr. Sharif, nice presentation. What's your protocol of making the temporaries? We went into that in detail. The replay is going to be on YouTube, guys, for anyone who wants to see exactly what we went through. So if you want to check that out, then we do that. But you put it in one piece, don't you?
Yeah, in one piece. So I take the impression, I fill it with integrity material, and I put it in there, wait 2-3 minutes. Once it's done, I take the impression out. They are all in there. And then I basically clean up and let it stay. I am not touching it. I'm not taking it out. I'm not checking if everything is great. If there are little areas that need some material that it's lacking, I will just add flowable without any bond. Do not bond because it will not be fun.
Can insufficient cement cause decay in the labial surface?
Yes, I mean, a labial, okay, so hold on a second. Let's be honest about this. If the areas around the gingiva are completely sealed out, and there is a little area on the facial or labial that is not cemented, no. That's just, to me, it's just logic. Where is the bacteria going to start? You know what I mean? It's kind of like saying, oh, this filling has a little bubble in it. Is that going to cause me a decay? No, it's not going to. It might cause sensitivity. Exactly. It might cause sensitivity if it just cured, and it might shrink over time, but it really shouldn't. You know what I mean? If that's your question.
Yeah, to the guys who are saying, please save the live, it's going to be replayed on YouTube, so you can save it on there. Make sure to go link in bio, and it'll be listed under Instagram live replays. So that's where to find it. And all the other ones that we've done on there, I've done 49 podcasts and about 40 odd Instagram lives. So there's loads of stuff on there for you guys to get into. And also, if you haven't already done so, make sure to check out the giveaway. At the moment, we've got some crown removers from ProDent USA. There's going to be some loops as well. So that's very exciting. So guys, make sure to check that out as well, and sign up to the giveaway. Any other questions for Dr. Mo? Let's have a look. Insurance do that also here in Jordan. That's terrible, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I think we've gone through the main points of the case. Shall we just recap to finish off? So,
yeah.
Patients come in like this. And you can see the old veneers there, guys. And Doc has prepared 10 on top and 8 on the bottom, which was looking like this. And then the final presentation was like that there. So you can see a huge, huge improvement. Do we do the splint afterwards? Yeah. Should we talk about the splint a bit more?
Yeah, I mean, what happens is that when you deliver your veneers, this is your investment now. I mean, think about it this way. Personally, I guarantee my veneers and my crowns for 5 years, as long as my patients keep their appointment with their hygiene. Patients love that part. Everyone loves warranty. I mean, sometimes people don't even, 90% probably don't even use it, but they love warranty. They love that this is an investment for at least 5 years. So I tell them, if anything happens to any veneer, I will change it for you. I will fix it for you within 5 years, as long as you keep your hygiene appointment. But in that third appointment, when we deliver the veneers, we are going to scan their teeth or use an impression, send it to the lab, and I usually send it to the lab where I create a soft, hard night guard. Soft, hard night guard, and this is an analogy maybe you want to explain to your patients, which I personally like and love. Is basically what it does is, like, if you keep jumping on the floor, on a hard floor, your knee's gonna give up pretty soon. But if you jump on a spring bed, your knees will be okay. That's what a night guard is. It's a spring bed that you're gonna create in the mouth or put in the mouth, and when you go to sleep, it's gonna help put forces equally balanced on all teeth. And that's why it's important to create that. Not only that, remember, the night guard is also another way for you to take the after pictures. If you do cosmetic cases like that, and I'm looking at each one of you, you better take a prior picture and an after picture. Do not take an after picture on the delivery date, because I can almost guarantee you an 18 teeth delivery, there is going to be some heme here. This is, by the way, in this case, I do remember teeth 8 and 9 on the vestibule, there was quite a bit of like a small hematoma because of my injection site. I don't know why that happened, but it did. And then 26 and 27 on the gingival margin, there's some irritation. But when she came back after 3 weeks, they were all gone. So when I delivered my night guard, it was ready for a picture, and that's when I took the pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, it makes sense. You can kind of see it when the pictures we just showed. I did have a little idea. Talk to me about the impressions. Why we like ITRO over PVS?
So to me, it's a very simple solution, or a very simple answer. PVS, you gotta be on point, man. I mean, the material you're adding there, it has to be precise. You're going with the soft around each single tooth, making sure there's no bubbles at all on each tooth, and then making sure the medium or the hard body that's going to be added on the impression is enough to capture everything. If you tell me that every single impression you're going to take, you're going to 100% have clear margins, I'm going to tell you, let me ask you this. How many times did you retake an impression of a single crown? Tell me.
I'm shocking with impressions, so I'm thinking ITRO sounds like a good idea.
It's a fantastic idea. The thing is, though, if you need to pack cords, pack cords. I mean, I go subgingival a little bit. Why? Because of if you go back for the first picture, actually third picture, I believe.
This one? Or
yes. This is exactly why you have to go subgingival. Look at tooth number 7. Look at tooth number 10. These are supragingival preps, most likely. Or it might be just a gum recession. But you don't want to create a margin that's going to end there, and when the stain happens, it's going to show. You want to create a margin under the gum that when you have staining happening around the teeth, it's even then probably it's not going to show as much because it's under the gum, you know? And obviously, the oral hygiene you have to discuss with patients is very, very important. But to go back to your question, Dr. Kelsey, impression with an iTero, I don't know if you've used an iTero or not. It's I'm glad we're in this generation. Let me just tell you this. When I am scanning and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I see the margins were good. Let's move to the next tooth. You know what I mean? And it's just so much easier and so much more convenient too. And not only that, I personally use iTero also for Invisalign. I mean, to show the before and afters for patients, because that's a huge deal for patients too, to see if their teeth going to be fixed with Invisalign or not. So iTero is a winner anytime, any day.
Cool. Any more questions? Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm definitely on the digital for, you know, I prefer digital. I've not used iTero yet, but I can't wait to get my hands on one eventually. Let's see. Nusin, my teeth are good, but now I'm considering veneers.
I'm located in Arizona.
Any further questions, guys, about anything around the topics we spoke about today? This is really good, man. I think we've got a nice case to show everyone there.
Absolutely.
And hopefully you guys, if you watched it today and you thought it was interesting, you can send the link to the replay to your friends and family or whoever you want to see it. If you've got dentist friends who want to see this kind of thing, you know, dental students, etc. Make sure to check out the giveaway as well, because we've had 100 people already enter, but there's going to be a few more prizes coming. So we want to get as many people on there as possible, guys. No matter where you are, there'll be a prize for people worldwide. So check that out. Make sure to follow Dr. Mo, Singodontist. Plenty of interesting and fun stuff on your page, isn't there, man?
Yeah, I like to take the fun part of dentistry, making patients a little bit more comfortable, breaking the stereotype of dentistry is painful, which I get. The injections are not fun. Nothing tastes good in dentistry, but I took the path that I want to create a good oral health awareness to make sure that people take care of their oral health, because it's an investment, honestly. The earlier you start, the more you save. So yeah, and I want to thank you for getting me on this and discussing this case with everyone. Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope this year goes well for everyone. Yeah, and if you have any questions, by the way, I am always free to answer all of you guys' questions. It might take a little time, but I will get back to all of you guys and answer all your questions. I'll be more than happy for that.
Awesome, guys. This is Dr. Mo, Singodontist. Yeah, amazing to have you on, man. If there's anyone who has a case, which it doesn't have to be as impressive and crazy as Doc's case here, but if you want to present a case, or you know someone who's done a good case, get them in touch with me. I want to do this a bit more frequently, just to get a bit more interaction going on in Dentist of Insta, because I know I've neglected you guys for a while while I've been doing my YouTube and podcast for the last couple of months. So check that out as well, guys. The replay is going to be on YouTube. Like I said, make sure to follow Dr. Mo, and hopefully we'll see you guys again soon. That's it for today, I think, isn't it? We'll any questions, let Doc know, or myself.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, we'll see you later, guys.
Take care, guys. Thank you, guys.
All right, bye.